Hello, everybody. My name is Dietrich Ayala, and welcome to the Ecosystem Working Group All Hands March 2022 edition. I'm going to walk you through an update of the Filecoin, IPFS, the libp2p ecosystems, where they're at, what we're doing, why we're all here, and how's it all going. Then I'm going to hand it off to some other folks to run through spotlights of the specific things happening in the ecosystem, followed by some deep dives into particular projects, technologies that are important for you to learn about. But first, the ecosystem team, what is it? Our mission is to see the long-term growth of the decentralized web by cultivating a wide variety of stakeholders, aligning them with the success of IPFS, Filecoin, and libp2p, and treating them very, very well. This has served us fantastically, and I will show you some of the results. First, the three pillars that I mentioned before, the interplanetary stack, Filecoin, a cryptographic storage network, IPFS, a data and content addressing protocol that works peer-to-peer, and libp2p, the underlying network stack, a set of tools, APIs for building your own protocols that both Filecoin, IPFS, and many other projects rely on. The Ecosystem Working Group is 5 different organizations at this point and growing. If you're interested, contact us to learn how to join. We have over 80 full-time contributors and a number of different organizations, projects, and friends who collaborate with us on various initiatives involving those technologies and growing the ecosystem that uses them. The working group is comprised of a number of smaller working groups. Angie runs the comms and events group, runs a bunch of the events. You might see them at places like South by Southwest, ETH Denver. Mosh runs and Lucas run the builders and developer advocacy groups. Jeremy runs the application research group. If you've used Estuary, then you've used their software. HQ runs Asia Working Group, where we have a number of different communities, IPFS and Filecoin. I run the Browsers and Platforms Working Group, working on browser integrations, mobile work, and OS level integrations as well. Alan runs Filecoin Green, an effort to talk about sustainability and blockchain development using Filecoin as a model of how it should be done. And Stefan, who represents our storage providers group, making sure that people who are storing their files on the Filecoin network are well served, understand their needs, and that space is growing. Finally, Brad with the PL Fund, managing set of investments. Our strategy is multi-part. The ecosystem multipliers, of which browsers is an example, are horizontal efforts across a wide number of areas where the efforts may multiply the impacts that we have in the individual development of these technologies. The builders funnel that you see here in the middle starts with developers, supporting them through events, education, onboarding materials, helping them graduate into full-fledged projects where they can participate in accelerators, receive grants and mentorship from our communities. Finally, converting those into actual businesses where we help them with both funding and overall business support. Underlying all of that, the growth of Web3 storage providers through the Storage Providers Program, expanding geographically, helping them grow into new and different business and use cases. We're seeing the effects of these in many ways. We have over 10,000 developers engaged so far via hackathons of the many other areas that we do development. Over 200 dev grants just since April alone. And we've awarded over 5 million Filecoin total in grants since 2019. And our partner accelerators, we work with a number of different incubators and accelerators, will grow to 60 teams. And I think actually we've blown past that at this point. There are a number of different organizations involved in our ecosystems, probably familiar with some of these. IPFS ecosystem draws a lot of people that need to publish NFTs, need peer-to-peer underlying infrastructure, addressing for their data, need to be able to move data between different places and ways to refer to data. And the Filecoin ecosystem, see a lot of companies that are involved in the storage infrastructure itself, as well as building higher level applications on top of an open market for storage infrastructure. In our ecosystem, we work with all types of projects, open source projects, DAOs, traditional platforms, Web2 and Web3 companies, and a number of nonprofit and government organizations as well. Over 9,000 contributors to the GitHub total. At this point, we work with a number of different other blockchain protocols as well, who depend on our infrastructure for their success. The builders funnel is growing rapidly. I mentioned that as key part of our strategy, and thinking about the ecosystem in this way has resulted in more than 300 projects that are currently building high commitment with IPFS, Filecoin, and libp2p. This is a key part of our strategy in order to be able to support developers and businesses as they enter the ecosystem and make sure that they can get to a place of success. Storage capacity has grown to 3% of all estimated data center capacity at this point. Really a lot of Wikipedia's worth of data that you could store, and over 4 billion 1080p movies worth of storage available at this point. Over 5 petabytes of storage and over 2.4 million deals Filecoin today, seeing those numbers grow as we see new people enter the ecosystem and need a place to put that data. We work with a number of other chains, platforms, projects. You'll probably recognize some of these names. Some of these folks have been at our events before. We collaborate directly with a number of them. Some of them are growing quickly in the NFT ecosystem, where you need to store lots of data really quickly for real-time access as that space starts to grow. A number of new partnerships are going to emerge in 2022 that we're excited to tell you about. Tune in for future editions of this meeting to learn more. And we are ever so close to 50 million NFTs stored on nft.storage. Now, for perspective, this is just using our service nft.storage, which stores NFT assets and metadata on IPFS and Filecoin. There's even more NFTs outside of that service continuing to use IPFS. We're seeing incredible growth in this space. Web2 client growth continues as we have a number of different universities with large data that we're working with. We have one with over 100 petabytes working with research institutes. We're starting to document and tell these stories about how organizations are moving large data sets onto Filecoin. So you're going to see those in case studies that are coming out. And we have a initiative called Filecoin Gravity, in which you can refer organizations with large data sets and earn Filecoin by doing so. A number of different use cases. I've mentioned NFTs a couple of different times. The growth in this space is spectacular. It's definitely been I don't know, a year or 2 years of the NFTs at this point, but it's growing rapidly. Some of the projects like Filta, ConvoSpace that we work directly with, and platforms like Zora and OpenSea that we work with to be able to make sure that their NFTs can stay safely available for their users. Metaverse and games, definitely two areas that are growing rapidly. Metaverse AI doing really interesting stuff and putting decentralized identity into VR spaces, and then Outplay Games working to develop tooling, frameworks, and support for game developers who are building decentralized games. Audio and video also growing. Huddle is something that I've been using for my team for our meetings for the last couple of months, and it's been fantastic to be able to meet and interact, knowing that we're using Web3 on a regular basis. Storage and verifiable data. Some of these you might have heard of. ChainSafe we work with a lot. They've offered a really interesting file storage product. Fleek I use to publish my websites, and it makes it very, very easy, integrates directly into the tools that you already use, like GitHub Actions, supports a number of different static site generating frameworks as well. Makes it very easy. Finance, biotech, we're seeing lots of these organizations start to move into decentralized data because it helps them make their data available to the partners that they work with, and also provides long-term storage, very low cost. Web2 datasets is an area where we're focusing as well. Shoah Foundation and Internet Archive have been partners for quite some time, and now we're starting to see increasing use case for moving large amounts of climate data onto decentralized storage. Again, with the benefits of low friction access through decentralized publication and low cost storage over long periods of time. So these are some of the use cases, some of the states of the initiatives that we've been pushing on. We're very excited to share with you a number of different projects in the rest of this meeting, but thank you for joining. We hope you learned a ton. We hope to join us for future editions. I will hand it off to Colin now to talk about the spotlights and introduce you to these projects. Thank you.
All right, South by Southwest. Is this Jamie or Angie?
Yes, I will take this one. We had an incredible week of events at South by Southwest. We had several events going on. You can see the list here, and a large group of team members in town. It was great to see everybody back together in person. Starting out with the NFT House on March 11th and 12th, we covered all things NFT from both creative and technology sides. We also had the Sustainable Blockchain Summit, with tons of great panels and presentations talking about green blockchain solutions. We had the Web3 Hacker House for March 14th and 15th, gave people a chance to come by, hack on projects, meet with developers, and have lots of great discussions. And then there was also the Decentralized Web Gateway event on March 15th, hosted by Filecoin Foundation at La Condesa, with lots of great panels and presentations. We also had several events going on that were part of South by Southwest Conference. The NFT School, David Choi and Yusuf Napora showed everyone how to create a freshly minted NFT token. Alan Ransel talked about decarbonizing blockchains, and we had a great panel on how the future of music NFTs will empower creators. And then there were several other events going on throughout the week. There was the Web3 House Party at Graeber House, the Storage Provider Meetup and Workathon hosted by Filecoin Foundation and our storage provider lead, Stefan. And then also the Austin Crypto Dinner and the Friends of Filecoin and Coinbase U410 Mixer. So tons of stuff going on throughout the week. It was great to get everybody back together. Thank you to everyone who contributed to these events and who attended, and keep your eyes on the Phil Comms and Events and Phil Lobby channels for more updates on upcoming events. We'll see you guys soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. And thanks to everyone who participated. Megan on the Filecoin Foundation.
Awesome. So first, what is the Filecoin Foundation? We have gotten a bunch of questions about this. So just to do a quick recap, are we a division of Protocol Labs? Who are we? So we're a totally independent organization that is meant to be the long-term stewards of the Filecoin ecosystem. This means that we do a lot of work around running our community governance programs, FIPS, network-wide security, as well as being part of the ecosystem working group and working to promote the Filecoin ecosystem. We also are looking towards making sure that the good work of the decentralized web, that we still have a decentralized web to get to as we're building out the Filecoin ecosystem. And building out the humanitarian use cases that are really need this kind of decentralized organization. In the last year, the Filecoin Foundation has had incredible growth. We have grown the team from 4 people to over 30 people. You are oftentimes in this ecosystem working group hearing updates about events that involve some foundation team members, but we also independently run media relating to the efforts that we're doing in the Filecoin ecosystem. So we've had a ton of media this last year, 135 media mentions, a Launchpad podcast, a DWeb video series. We have boosted the number of grants awarded year over year by over 70%. We've created a public presence for both FF and our nonprofit arm FFDW on online and social media. We also are supporting efforts around building up alternative Filecoin protocol implementations. Sorry, a little early for me. We work with ChainSafe to build a bridge between Filecoin and Polkadot, which we believe is going to be a huge ecosystem multiplier. We helped with the implementation of the native IPFS protocol support in Brave and Opera. And we launched the Storage Provider Working Group and Storage Provider Bounty Board after which includes clients, including the NYC Open Data Initiative on Filecoin.
Thanks, Megan. On to Caitlin. You have 60 seconds on the community roadmap.
Wonderful. Thank you, Colin. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Caitlin. I'm also at the Filecoin Foundation. I'm the TPM for governance, and wanted to quickly flag one project we're working on to help expand access to documentation for significant changes coming up in the Filecoin ecosystem, especially for community members who are first onboarding into this community. So the Filecoin Community Roadmap is a community project where we crowdsource projects that are going to significantly change the technical operations of the Filecoin protocol. or significantly impact the use case of Filecoin, either as an additional tool or project, expanding protocols interoperability or other things built on top of the protocol now and in the future. We just launched in Q1 of this year, so it is still a relatively nascent effort, but I did want to flag that we are currently asking for input and new projects to be flagged for 2022 Q2's update. Last quarter, we had over 60 projects submitted from across the entire ecosystem, both within and outside of the Protocol Labs network. So if you were one of those projects, I'll be reaching out next week to gather your updates on that. But for those of you who may be hearing about this for the first time or standing up new projects to contribute, I'll drop a link into the chat. You can learn more and also submit your project there. Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Appreciate it. Ashwant on Venus Hub.
Hey everyone, it's great to see you all here. I just wanted to take some time to shed some light on what our friends at IPFS Force are doing with the Venus Hub initiative. So the whole goal is to help SPs adopt the Venus deployment. So they're looking at doing this in a couple of different ways, specifically 5 different ways. First being through online meetups that they're coordinating where they have AMAs or weekly technical discussions, a master fellowship program where they bring on experts in the field and help them teach other SPs how to use the deployment properly. Number 3 is co-sponsoring hackathons to help spur new ideas. 4th is an incubation center where the goal is to really help new SPs get off the ground. And lastly is a deal accelerator where they want to encourage SPs to take real storage deals. This program is officially launching by the end of March, so they're looking for people to get involved with this. So if you want to learn any more information, feel free to check out the link below and get ready for some really exciting stuff. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you. The Venus implementation is gaining a lot of steam, so that's great news that these programs are there to support it. Alvin on Estuary APIs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alvin. So I'm relatively new to the company, but I'm part of the Outer Core Application Research Group team who is maintaining the Estuary API, Estuary service. So for the past few weeks, I've been building the Swagger documentation for Estuary. So some of you might have worked with Estuary before. Estuary is a service built by our group that extends the capabilities of IPFS. So basically, we created a mechanism to ensure the replication of data across multiple nodes. And one of the best things about Estuary is that it was designed with an API-driven mindset, meaning all of these, or majority of the functionalities and features that we have are exposed by HTTP REST APIs, right? And of course, this kind of tool is essentially is essential for developers so that they can integrate their systems in a more seamless manner. We are taking that to the next level with the introduction of this Swagger. So Swagger is essentially an API documentation tool that allows API developers to sort of document all of their endpoints and leverage all of the Swagger tools surrounding this endpoint. So, generating the HTTP wrappers, generating server stubs, even the documentation itself can be generated using the Swagger. So introducing this Swagger enables us to give the best support for the developers so that they can generate their HTTP wrappers depending on their programming platform that they're working on. So, for example, if you're a developer working on a system that has in Golang or in Rust or in JavaScript or TypeScript, you can essentially use the Swagger tools to generate the SDKs and client wrappers that wraps this Estuary API, and then you can access all of these APIs via this SDK. So this is essentially a tool. It is essentially an initiative of ours to lower the barrier of the developers who's working on Estuary. And if you have any one of you who have time to check them out, feel free to look at the scan of the QR code here on the screen and check the Swagger Hub documentation. It will redirect you to the Swagger docs, and any contribution is welcome. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Alvin. Super useful for developers. Check those APIs out. Voxel modeling, is this Pan?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Voxel modeling workshop for BuildQuest. On March 5, recent March 5, I gave this workshop on building NFT character in Voxel at the BuildQuest Summit, which is a major Web3 gaming hackathon by eGlobal. The workshop kind of spun out of my little project, researching building 3D NFT store and uploading 3D models to NFT.storage. And I thought I'd start modeling with Filecoin's mascots and avatars and whatnot. The project teaches, the workshop teaches participants to model our Filecoin Koji from scratch with no prior experience in 3D modeling in this Voxel software called Magical Voxel, which is like a very popular open source software among the game 3D artists. So for those of you who have never heard of voxels, what are voxels? So voxels are like 2D pixels, except they kind of live in 3 dimensions. So if you have painted using the early Microsoft Paint program, so it's actually very similar, except you're painting in X, Y, Z axes instead. There are like some quick wins with modeling your game characters in voxel style. One is like it's very quick and easy to model and gives your NFT and games better time to market. Your NFTs also can have this like kind of nostalgic look and feel of like 3D bit Nintendo games and whatnot. Very relatable to general audience and not just like hardcore gamers. And also these voxel characters are highly configurable because the voxel models are very modular. It is much easier to create variations, attributes, props for your NFTs, right? Some examples of like very popular and voxel NFTs are or game characters are from like, of course, Minecraft, Crossy Roads. If you've done some serious gaming in the past, you have stumbled on Crossy Roads, and of course, like the very recent voxel example would be Meebits from the creator of CryptoPunk. So yeah, I mean the full workshop link is already there, and yeah, it was great fun, and I've got a lot of participants or in the audience kind of like texting me or DMing me for questions, and very excited about building their first voxel models. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Pan. Really appreciate it. Shrek, you have 60 seconds for send data.
Not a problem. Pan's a hard act to follow, but I did want to talk a little bit about send data. It is a solution we are piloting now in the ecosystem. It really gives support for Web2 protocols in our new Web3 world. Sticking with the Estuary theme, what you see is the ability to take data from different public clouds or even provide take an S3 client and onboard data onto the Filecoin network. There is a configurable, scalable staging area, or what we call a cache, that allows users to balance warm and cool workloads as they take data on and off the Filecoin network. The other cool part about this solution, it will obfuscate and encrypt the data prior to placing it on Estuary, which allows users to store private data, which is a great support feature. And it leverages all the core S3 functionality, allowing us to take legacy applications developed in a Web2 world and start to incorporate their data into the Web3 world. For anyone that has any questions, there's an email address listed there for Mr. Neil Sumaru. They can reach out to him to get more details. But this is a solution we're currently piloting and talking to providers about, as well as some clients. So it's a very exciting time to get this out and into the ecosystem. Thanks, Colin.
I've been waiting for this for a long time. So this is super exciting. It's going to make Web2 users a lot more seamless to get into a Web3 world. So thanks, Shrek. Really appreciate the initiative here.
No problem.
And finally, Stefan, our virtual bootcamp for SPs.
Yes, and it's even harder to follow Shrek. So virtual bootcamp for SPs, last month we mentioned there was going to be a lot of new content coming out, and glad to announce that it's finally here. If you're interested in becoming a storage provider, you want to learn more about how to not only run and operate, but also sort of like the use cases around it, what verticals to go after, etc. There's a whole series of content now available on YouTube. You can also go to m.phil.org/ESPA bootcamp/content, or just simply search on YouTube Filecoin Bootcamp. More than 20 hours of content. This will be updated. New modules will be released in the next 2 months. We'll have new modules every quarter, but I would say go at it for those who are interested. Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you, Stefan. Really appreciate it.